Wealth Club members. I hope you had the opportunity to swing by Brian to grab your packets. I know there's a little bit of confusion as to how many packets to grab. When I was in there was a pile for reading and math. They're in the same packet, and then science and social studies are also in the same packet. So I hope you grabbed both. If you didn't, I'm hoping they have more hours available tomorrow. There's no word yet on if the building will be open at all tomorrow. I talked to Miss Nelms and tried to get some more information, and even she doesn't know yet. As soon as the district rolls out with it, they'll share it with the teachers, and I will then share what I get with you guys to keep you in tune. As far as the language arts lesson, today it's looking like, according to our learning plan or our teacher jarble, the lesson plan includes just reading the story called What's for Breakfast, which I will read out loud to you. And then we're going to work through the vocabulary piece. Our words are toppled and shuffled. So there are going to be times where I am writing things down, and those are things that I would like for you to write down as well. So if you need to slow it down, obviously hit pause. That way you can see what I've written. I'll make sure I hold it up, and then when I hold it up, just hit the pause button so you can then record what I have written. There is also times where I'm not going to do all the writing for you, and it's your job to fill in the missing pieces on your own. That's going to be the part that I grade when we return. So let's get started with our very first story. It is called What's for Breakfast, and it's in the beginning part of this giant packet we have. And then we'll go over the vocabulary, and that looks like it's it for language arts today. All right, our story is called What's for Breakfast. So I will read it out loud to you. I'll pause each a little bit, and we'll talk about the parts. I hope you're paying attention to the who, the when, where, and the what, because our summarizing skill we're still working hard on. So even though I'm not with you face to face, you need to be thinking about who the story is about, the main person in that chunk, what they're doing, why they are doing it, so on and so forth, to review our summarizing skills. All right, here goes. What's for breakfast? Of course, Dad decided to blame me when he came downstairs this morning to make coffee and burnt toast and saw the mess in the kitchen and the living room. "Daniel!" I heard him from my post in the bathroom. I stood there on my toes to see what I'd look like if I were taller, brushing my teeth and wondering if I could get out of the door with unbrushed hair and without Miranda, my older and snottier sister, noticing. "Daniel!" I came downstairs, still wearing my pajamas, and saw a bunch of magazines on the rug by the couch, toppled over from their usual stack on the coffee table. I'm going to pause. Toppled is one of our vocabulary words. Continuing. Then I saw the bad mess in the kitchen. The jars with Miranda's baking supplies were usually lined up along the counter, but one of them was on the floor in pieces, and there was flour everywhere. Dad was standing in the middle of it, wearing half of a suit, shiny black shoes, and pressed work pants, but no shirt, and his hair was still wet from the shower. I laughed. That was a mistake. "Did you do this, funny man?" The coffee maker sounded like it was gargling mouthwash. I guess Dad wasn't so mad that he couldn't make his Java. "No, Dad, I didn't. It was the truth. When I turned off the TV the night before, the magazines were still stacked. And when I got my nighttime cup of water from the kitchen, there was no flour on the floor." "Really? Because we've had this problem before, with footballs and jump ropes and indoor kite flying." Dad obviously didn't believe me. "Really, Dad, I have no idea how this happened. I got some water in the middle of the night, but everything was clean then." Dad turned around and got some bread and butter and honey. The toaster sounded like it hurt when he pushed the lever down. It was old and never made toast right. I only ate toast when I slept over at other people's houses. Dad didn't really care what his toast tasted like, I guess. "I didn't have time to clean this up, Daniel, and I'm mad. Go upstairs and get ready for school." Dad filled a big bowl with water. Okay. I was halfway up the stairs when Miranda's cat, Oatmeal, shot up underneath my legs. "Dad!" I yelled. "I bet it was Oatmeal!" I don't think Dad heard me, but I got dressed, and the more I thought about it, the more I just knew it had to have been Oatmeal. The cat always causes problems. At night, he either fights things that can't fight back, like the couch or the cabinets or the laundry baskets downstairs, or he sits in the upstairs hallway and howls, trying to get into our rooms to show off the socks he hunts and kills. He's annoying, which means he's Miranda's perfect pet. Hey, bozo! Miranda came out of her room dressed in high tops and red polka dot dress. She had some bracelets on, which, plus the dress, made her look kind of like a girl, except that her bracelets had skulls on them and her sneakers were black. She was a weird sister. She was in 6th grade and I was in 4th. I didn't understand why she didn't dress normally. Everything had to have something black or bony on it. Your stupid cat got me in trouble, Miranda. Maybe if you hadn't set precedent so many times, you wouldn't get blamed for wrecking the house. I didn't set precedent. I don't even know what that word meant. Precedent, dummy. And yes, you did. Every time you played ball or some other stupid game in the house. She walked past me and petted Oatmeal as he slithered toward her door. Hurry up, or I'll eat all the cereal. I didn't hurry up. I put on my shoes and was silently thankful that she hadn't noticed my messy hair. I walked back downstairs with heavy feet and left my backpack, hit the steps behind me. Dad was eating his burned toast with honey and trying to mop up a gloppy mess on the floor. He did not look happy. Miranda was at the table eating a bowl of Kix. She threw one at me. I decided to skip cereal. Daniel, this is unacceptable, Dad muttered. Dad, it was Oatmeal. He went on a night rampage and did this. Miranda! Dad's raised his voice. Dad, he's just being a cat. He has wild instincts. Miranda didn't even lift her head. You need to start keeping your cookie things in the pantry. They look good in jars. Fine. I'll just have to look good in the jars in the pantry. Miranda decided not to argue. I guess because she shut up. Dad was struggling. The paper towels he was using to wipe up the wet floor weren't doing a good job. He threw 2 handfuls in the trash, but there were still smears of paste on the ground and some dry flour powdering the corners of the kitchen. Dad looked at the clock on the stove and he said, Look at the time. We have to go. Then he rushed to the laundry room to put on a work shirt. Get your stuff together and get in the car, Dad said. He huffed his way out the door. Miranda got up and went back upstairs, leaving me in the kitchen by myself. I sidestepped the sticky streaks of flour on the ground and got a popsicle from the freezer. Breakfast. When I got outside, Dad was already waiting in the driveway. I got in the front seat. Take that, Miranda. I noticed some crusty flour on the back of his work jacket. I didn't say anything. He'd probably just get mad. He was already mad anyway and getting angrier as he impatiently honked the horn for Miranda. She shuffled out the front door, holding her lumpy backpack in front of her with both arms. We pulled out and Dad turned on NPR. I hope you 2 packed lunch. I forgot, I said. Can I have some money? Here, take $10. Dad tossed his wallet into my lap. I looked back at Miranda. I was kind of disappointed that she hadn't got mad at me for sitting in the front seat. Miranda, do you need money too? Dad asked. No. What'd you bring for lunch? Oatmeal. That's gross, weirdo. Who eats oatmeal for lunch? I thought. If you say so, kiddo. Dad rolled his eyes. I hope you packed the instant stuff, because if you cooked oatmeal just now, it's going to get really cold and nasty, and I'm going to be really annoyed that you wasted time doing that while we were waiting outside for you. Miranda just looked out the window. We didn't talk for a few minutes, and the radio droned on about the news. Yeah, we waited forever, I said, turning around to glare. When I did, I noticed something weird. Miranda's backpack moved. I opened my mouth to say something, but Miranda made a mean face and mouthed, Don't say anything. A little white paw poked out from under the flap on her bag. I turned around again. Unbelievable! How is it that I was the one who always got in trouble for what that cat did? Miranda was worse than I was. Dad pulled up to our school. Have a good day, guys, he said. I still didn't tell him about the flour paste on his coat. I got out. Miranda didn't. I stood on the sidewalk for a moment wondering why she was just sitting there, and then I saw Oatmeal squeeze his way out of her bag, despite her struggle to keep him contained. I slammed the door shut so he wouldn't escape. I heard her shriek and my dad yell while I watched the cat tear the leather as he clawed his way under the passenger seat. Miranda! Dad's scream was muffled with all the doors closed. I could hear them arguing, and then Dad waved at me without looking and drove away. I probably should have felt a little angry that Miranda got to be late for school, or that my dad just drove away like that, but I was walking into the building. could not stop smiling. All right, so if this was on our classroom, I would have stopped 10 times and asked you the who, the when, where, and the what. So I want you to take a second to figure out who is the main who in our story. So far we have our dad, Miranda, and let me go back and find his name. The narrator, I'll go with that first. What? Oh, Daniel. Daniel was our main character's name. I want you to think about who the main who was in our story. Was the main person Miranda? Was it Daniel or was it Dad? And then I need you to figure out what the main thing that was happening in the story. And I know there was lots, but the main thing that happened in the story, what was the most important thing throughout our story? And then the where, when. Where was the story taking place for the most part? I know that they moved about, but what was the main part of our story? Where did it all take place? We're going to go ahead and get started with the vocabulary. The first word we have is toppled, so that is on the back of our first story page. It looks like this. It gives you the what's for breakfast story, title, and then it gives you the exact sentence from the story that it took place in. What we're going to do right now is come up with a definition of what we think toppled means in our 4th grade language, and then it's going to be your job, without Miss Wells, to come up with a sentence, the synonym, and the antonym for the word toppled. So when we do this, again, if I go too fast or you don't have enough time to get everything that I write written down, you're just going to hit the pause button. And that is so you can get a chance to write down everything that I write. And then the expectation is for you to finish the parts that I tell you to on your own. And that's what I'm going to be checking when we return to school. If you get stuck or you have any questions, you can Google chat me. I put those directions up, or you can email me. That way you get whatever help you need on these assignments. So this is keeping it short and quick. We just have a story and those 2 vocabulary words. So let's get started. The word toppled. It came from the sentence that says, I came downstairs still wearing my pajamas and saw a bunch of magazines on the rug by the couch, toppled over from their usual stack on the coffee table. What in the world could toppled mean? Using my context clues, I'm going to go back and go a little bit before the word and a little bit after to see if we can figure out what in the world toppled means. The part before says, I came downstairs, still wearing my pajamas, and saw a bunch of magazines on the rug by the couch. Do you leave your magazines that were on the table? Do you just throw them down on the floor by the couch, or do you actually set them on top of the table? You guys know I'm a neat freak, so I put them on top of the table. So if I were to come down the next morning and see them laying on the floor, I'd be a little confused. And then the next part says, toppled over from their usual stack on the coffee table. So like I just said, this person usually stacks them neatly on top of the coffee table, but they're not on the coffee table. I'm going to go ahead and guess that the word toppled means fall over or fell to the ground maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. That's going to be our short 4th grade definition. Fell to floor. Another way we could write it is knocked over. So I'm writing it. All right, now this is where I said if you need to take extra time to hit the pause button. So I'm going to go ahead and pull what I wrote down up. Oh, this is harder than it looks. And I wrote definition, fell to the floor or knocked over. Your job now is to create 2 sentences using the word toppled. So just like what we do in our own vocabulary lessons from our read alouds at school, what you're going to be doing is coming up with a sentence that uses the word toppled. So for example, your sentence can't say, I knocked over the juice while eating my breakfast. You'd have to replace knocked over my juice with I toppled my juice while I was eating my breakfast, and that would show that it spilled. Please don't write that sentence. You got to come up with your own 2 Wells Club. I know how you do. And at the bottom where it says synonym, antonym, your job is to come up with a word that means the same thing and put it in the synonym box. And then the opposite goes in the antonym box. Again, synonym, same, antonym, opposite. So what you're going to be doing for me right now while you're finishing up is coming up with your own 2 sentences. Make sure you plug in the word toppled, and then coming up with your synonym and your antonym. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. It looks like that's it for our reading lesson for today. I'll be back shortly with your writing lesson. It's a very exciting piece we'll be doing in writing. Tomorrow we will be rereading that story, and then we'll be pausing at designated stopping points for you to fill in the graphic organizer that goes with our story. It looks like this. It's called Sketch in Chunks. Again, I'll do a couple with you, and then you will be turned loose to finish up on your own, and I will be checking that part tomorrow when we reread this story together. Again, if you have any questions, Google chat me, email me. I'm missing you guys. Have a wonderful day.